Hi, this is Jim Ziegler, and this is the Dawg Pound. Oh, fasten your chin straps. The bar comes down. You're committed. The roller coaster ride's leaving the station. And guess what? Our special guest panelist this week, the Lord of social media marketing himself, Chris Hill from Overtake Digital.
Jim, thanks for having me, buddy. Really pumped to be here.
The Lord of social media marketing. Does that sort of work for you?
Hey, kind of like Star Lord from.
Hey, I always say if you're going to sell it, you better be able to do it yourself, right? So practice what you preach.
And our used car highline used car guru.
Hello.
Max.
Thank you again for having me, Jim, as always.
Patrick O'Brien. Patrick, how's your month doing, big boy?
Good. Actually, things are starting to kind of pick back up to what we were doing back in May and April, where we were real busy. So it's a good sign. It's trending in the right way.
Fantastic. National Director of Sales and Strategy for LotLinx, my good friend Melissa Marjanovic.
Hello, Jim. You kind of said it right.
What was that?
You kind of said it right.
Marjanovic.
Marjanovic in English, Marjanovic in Croatian.
Marjanovic.
Every time I say it, my husband laughs because apparently I'm not saying it correctly either.
Yeah, well, it counts about 50 points in Scrabble, I believe.
Mars was kidding.
Okay, the Mad Russian. Now you're about to go to Spain, I understand.
Next Monday.
Next Monday, going back to
Spain.
That's right. I'm heading up, Jim.
Former KGB operative Max Zanan. Hello, Max.
Hey, Jim. Thank you for having me again. I don't know what I'm going to talk about here today because it's completely outside of my wheelhouse. But, I'll probably make some stupid comments. You can count on that.
You're going to do just fine.
I was going to say, I'm sure you'll come up with something, Max.
Thanks to your former KGB status, we're all on a watch list the closer we get
right?
to.
Everything you do.
I personally put Bobbie on the watch list.
She was there years ago.
Right.
Max will come up with some contrarian viewpoint, trust me. And one of the most brilliant women in the car business, I've said this over and over again, soon to be married.
Very soon. Very soon.
Her nerves are like Jennifer Briggs.
Hey, soon to be married, and also so soon to be the mother of a grown child. My Aiden turns 18 tomorrow, so I think I might be having more nerves about that than the nuptials impending in November. So,
oh my gosh, a grown child,
grown.
Oh no! Well, at least you can kick him out and break his plate, right?
Well, listen, I already moved him into the guest room out of the basement and might have picked out new carpet and a game table to take back over the space.
You met my son. My son's like a booger. You keep flicking him away, and damn, he's still there.
Oh.
And the queen of BDC, absolute dominant person in the realm of BDC, Bobbie Herron. Hey.
Hello.
Okay, that's our subject today, BDC, Business Development Center. Is it outdated? Does it need an overhaul? Tell me, Bobbie, let's open with you. Give me a discourse on BDCs. Is it outdated? Is it in transition? Is digital retailing doing away with it? What's going on?
It's funny enough, I hate it that we call it BDC, but it's just so well known as that. BDC, in most dealerships, a BDC functions like we hired $5-10 an hour people. There was nobody there to teach them how to communicate, which is the true goal of BDC. There was nobody there to say the KPIs in the process should be this, to match it into the CRM, to teach them or to hold them accountable. and then there's roadblocks in all the departments. It's not that BDC is outdated or that you even have to have a BDC. You can have a hybrid, you can have salespeople, but you have to first register your people, your process, your technology, then put a plan into place and look for the detours and the roadblocks that are going to come up before. Otherwise, you train a whole department on how to fail while you're testing it in another department, right? It's not that it's outdated. It's that it's rarely done right. And there's no shame to a dealer when I say that. I don't mean like, oh my gosh, you guys should know this. It's a different skill set. It's a completely different skill set. They're not selling something. They're causing engagement and communication. And that's the intentional goal of it. It's just different than how people set it up or what they think should happen. But, you know, we throw like $100,000 in advertising a month and they're like, put it all to the BDC. You mean the one that's never been trained, who goes and picks up your pizza? Great plan. Let's do that. And then it fails. And then it's not a profit center.
Well, where can they get that training?
Well, I handle that training, but so do some really other great trainers and consultants. I'm not the only one. And it depends on the store, right? I won't take on a store that's willing to fail, meaning if you won't put the work in, I'm not the right partner for you. I charge fines to dealers who don't attend the trainings. I charge fines to sales managers, including for their paycheck, if they no show for meetings. You put a process in place and you don't follow it, and we don't work on it together and you don't show up for your meetings, we're not a good fit for you, because I like to win. I don't want somebody else coming in 3 months later, like, who trained your team, Bobbie Herron? Oh God, what? No. You know, but we do everything from setting up process to customizing technology for it, to helping recruit, retain, and write pay plans for people, including working with the other departments to make sure that it's fluid. You know, some basic things that we offer, but also that a lot of other really great trainers offer.
Well, that's one thing I like about your company. You won't tolerate failure. Jennifer, take over where she left off.
Well, I think the starting, Bobbie's point is fantastic, but you've got to start, if you're considering blowing up your BDC, you need to actually look at the expectations for that department. What percentage of your overall units, and I think, Jim, you alluded to this with digital retailing, is it making it obsolete, but what percentage of your sales are you looking for that department to help generate? And I feel like I've been talking about this forever in actually treating a BDC as an advertising expense. So looking at what is that total cost per copy that they're generating. So it makes it a lot easier, maybe just for me with my accounting background, to say the numbers and cents. If my cost is below $150 per unit, I can tack that on to the $250 that I'm spending on advertising and still come in well under a pre-co-op target, right? So, but nobody looks at it that way. They just say, okay, here we go. We're gonna throw these people in the room. We're gonna grab some computers and we're gonna let them go, to which what Bobbie was talking about. But if you don't even know your goal, are you looking for a 20% increase in units? Are you looking for a reduction in the days to sold on your internet opportunities? What are you trying to achieve before you decide to throw the baby out with the bathwater and they failed, or to build a new department? I'm retooling one right now where it was 100% appointment setting, but we're pulling 3 salespeople in to train them to go cradle to grave as well, because the lead volumes have gotten out of control. So
okay, the lead volumes are out of control. You've got salespeople that can take a deal cradle to grave.
We're hoping.
Okay, you're hoping. Okay,
at that store.
That's where some of my stuff comes in.
Yeah, and you know, we have mixed structure. I always say, as long as the process is consistent, the structure doesn't matter. It can be an appointment setter. It could be 100% cradle to grave salespeople. It could be that hybrid mix of it. But if you don't know what you're trying to achieve, how the heck are you going to measure success?
I want to go from an agency viewpoint here in a second. Chris, jump in on this conversation.
Well, I wanted to say something first just to answer what Bobbie was saying. These problems, I think in 2006 or 2008, myself, Chris Vitale, and Elise Kitpart spoke together at a digital dealer years and years ago. I think it's actually when I met Bobbie in the gang. These problems are age old, and they've they've existed for years. And these dealers are consistently doing the exact same thing. And as Jennifer was saying, they're overall fix to this right now is the easy way out by just consistently pushing more and more leads into the system. Even though they're only pulling a couple percentage, 5, maybe 6, maybe even 10% of those leads into the store, they're just trying to get all the low-hanging fruit that they can. So we're working with the dealer right this minute. We do CRM processes on top of all the digital marketing that we do. We also write out full CRM processes, statuses, sales processes, everything from in-store to, appointment, no-show, follow-up after the sale, and so on. But we come right back to the exact same issue with each one of these stores where they don't have anybody in there that can consistently run through this process. And it all starts from the top up. I had a rough day when I got back from my dealership, or got back to my dealership after Digital Dealer. And I was in Automotive Magazine, and I had everybody that had a BDC that existed in the store that wasn't working. I told all the GMs to raise their hand, and all these GMs raised their hand. And I said, this is your fault. All right. The reason that BDCs are failing is from top down. All right. And it's exactly what Bobbie is saying, that we hire kids to do the job of professional salespeople that are on the floor waiting for these amateurs to basically feed them, when we should be expecting these exact same salespeople to be making those phone calls, working those processes, and creating those opportunities for themselves. And it becomes a very vicious circle, because what happens is we train these people. Eventually, these dealerships will train these people. And then these people are so underpaid compared to the salespeople that they're feeding, that they end up leaving and working against you at another dealership, going and selling cars because you've essentially told them.
Chris, if your BDC thinks they're underpaid, there's a different issue.
Well, absolutely. I agree with that as well. But I think that's consistent across the board, because we're paying so much to the salesperson and paying so little to these people that are actually creating the appointment, that, at the end of the day, the real sale is to get these people in the store and make this opportunity available for the salesperson to essentially show the car and write up the paperwork. So I just think it's an age-old problem where we consistently just say, throw whoever in there, don't train them, throw them into this CRM, and hopefully they follow the process. And if they don't, we'll just consistently throw in more leads and more phone calls, and eventually we'll get a little bit more business out of it. It becomes a very big project.
I think the problem with that is what Bobbie said, is that the managers aren't doing the training as well. And I love that she finds her stores if the managers don't attend. Now, for me, I hold quarterly boot camps with our teams, and that's for salespeople, BDC. But my regular trainings with the stores are with the managers, because that is who is going to determine whether or not it succeeds or fails. And if 100%. They're not in, it's not going to succeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
And going back to what like Chris was saying, the vicious cycle that continues is okay, that you have the disconnect between sales and BDC. BDC's underpaid, sales overpaid, whatever it is. So we always, anytime things start to slip, the first place that managers tend to point the finger and actually shame is the BDC department. But again, going back to what Bobbie was saying, is we didn't even train them typically to be able to do the job that we're expecting them to do. And then we just recycle them with the same ad. We let go of those people. We bring more people in, and then we train them the same crappy way, and we put them in another group of people to pay.
Melissa,
what do you think?
I work with a ton of dealers, and the issue usually is, they want more leads, they want to sell more cars, but I tell them right off the bat, if you don't have people in process, no amount of marketing or anything is going to be able to fix that. I wish I could find the ones that don't show up for my meetings. I kind of like that idea, Bobbie. But yeah, if you don't have people and process in place, there's no amount of leads, advertising, or anything that's going to be able to help you. So
the hard part with this is, right, it's easy for us to say, these are the things that you have to do. And for people listening, we get a couple different categories, right? We have a category of people who are not empowered to make a change. And they go, what can I do? So let me give you a pro tip right now. The most effective way to increase your income when you work in a BDC is to learn how to communicate properly. And there are very few trainers out there who can teach you that, right? I'm one of them, but you can do it too. So I tell every class that I train and every person that I talk to, take your butt to YouTube, type in TED Talks, and start looking for executive presence, communication, written and verbal, and train yourself on the things that they are not going to come in and train you. See, when we train salespeople, We train them on how to close, on how to control, and what kind of psyche to use to do it. We don't tell them that. We used to 20 years ago, but that's what they're trained on. Get them in, close the deal. How do I effectively communicate this way? A BDC representative's job is to break down the walls with the customer, get them comfortable in the conversation so they don't need to ignore you, supply the information that's needed, and then set up a successful transition to a salesperson, just like we used to, or still do, from salespeople to F&I. So it's a pro tip if you're not empowered. The second set of people are people who want to do it right but don't know how. And they go, I don't want to call this girl and say I don't know how to do it. If you're a dealer or a general manager in charge of a sales floor, I don't expect that you've ever been taught how to do this. This is newer age technology, newer age training. Raise your hand, work together on it, and then require that all of your salespeople, all of your BDC people, and all of your managers, including yourself, attend every possible training that is done with a BDC or a sales floor. One team, one direction, everybody consistent. Be open to roadblocks being mentioned. Oh, we can't do that in sales because of this. Okay, cool. Let's solve it right now and create that buy and get it put in place so you don't train a whole team to do something to go to the desk to get untrained.
Now, are you saying that we're going to be sending sales managers to BDC school?
I require it. If you work with my company, I'll tell you what, if you work with my company on sales training or on BDC training, your entire staff is required to attend. They are one team moving in one direction, and the disconnect between internal teams is why you don't have a higher result from what you're already doing correctly, right? You got a sales meeting, you don't invite the BDC. What, they're not on the sales team? You got a BDC meeting, you don't invite the sales manager? Why are you two separate departments? That's why you're acting disconnected. I absolutely require it.
So, Jim, I think I'm ready for my contrarian point of view.
There we go.
Here comes the Russian. Now, Max barely knows where the on switch on his computer is, but he's
right. So listen, I work in the F&I field, right? And finance managers make a lot of money, right?
Yes.
Finance managers that I work with make anywhere from, I don't know, 200 to 500 a year. Right? And the answer is this, right? Pay plans drive behavior, and certain pay plans attract certain people. And when you're willing to, you get what you pay for. And if I'm not mistaken, right, an average, pay for BDC employees probably around $36,000 a year. When you pay peanuts.
No,
right?
Max, they get minimum wage and free pizza.
Right. So I was actually high on my estimate, right? So if you're a general manager or a dealer principal, right, and you're sitting here, thinking, why is my BDC not producing? I mean, who do you think you're getting, to work for you for $36,000 a year? You get, clowns, right? And that's the bottom line. So that's point number one. Point number two, right? A lot of BDC that I understand, right, is selling an appointment, right, so for them to come in, but here's some breaking news, guys. If you switch to one price, it's much easier to sell the appointment, right?
No, well,
I know, Bobbie, I know.
No.
Here it comes.
And the third point, right, to prove
remember Max is a communist.
It's Carvana, right? Carvana is the BDC department with a website, with a one-price model, right? So unless you pay real money in BDC, you empower people in BDC to make the deal, not to hand it over to a sales manager or a salesperson. Just make the deal. The car is $27,000. That's what we're selling the car for. How much are you putting down? What's your social security number? How many years on the job? Let's run the credit, and we're going to deliver the car to your house.
Look at Mike's text. Here comes the fight. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this for a minute. One, yes, pay plans motivate employees. Here's a problem. If I don't know how to run a BDC and I go to my 20 group, I say this all the time, and I go, I need a really great BDC pay plan. Guess where they got that? I'm trying not to swear because I get passionate about this. Guess where they got that pay plan from? 74 other different groups that they belong to where nobody actually wrote it for the actual people in the department and what they are motivated by.
Or was it a successful department, period, before you take somebody else's regurgitated garbage?
100%. Second, yes, I believe that BDCs should be empowered to be able to construct and work car deals. But I also believe that a BDC manager should be of GSM quality and likewise, because they should be running a separate sales team. Now, I also believe that you can have a BDC department that is as simple as an appointment setting department, or you can have a true sales department in there, or you can pod them out and assign them to different teams on the floor. Everybody always says, Bobbie, what's the right way to do it? The right way is the way you'll actually do it that fits the people and process and technology that you have. That's the right way to do it. But unless you're working with hundreds of dealerships and you've been doing this for a long time, how do you even know that without trying and failing? So if you don't want to try and fail 100 times, you call us. If not, you try and fail, right? But if you want a true high-performing culture, then your BDC people are the equivalent to your salespeople, and likewise, and that manager of that department is of equal lateral value as your sales manager, as your finance manager, and is training and or prepared with a path that looks like a GSM.
And I also want to clarify
you disagree with all that.
because
No, actually,
they're not all minimum wage employees. I'm sorry, I have to say this because I think that this department gets just pooed on all the time. I'm also trying not to curse here, which is strange because I don't normally curse, but I'm fired up on this. Now, Max, if you are not taking your business seriously, then you have a BDC department that only makes $36,000 a year. I have BD agents that make six figures because they work their butts off and they deliver the value, and they're not selling an appointment.
Jennifer,
they are selling an experience at our stores.
Jennifer, stop right there. This is an exception, okay? This is not the rule. BDC reps do not make six figures.
That's because people build the department wrong, Max. That's what I'm saying the whole time.
Look at Max getting all passionate on a new topic.
So first of all, and I was going to say, Max, I have BD agents that actually sell your products too. So
Wait,
business development.
Max,
Jennifer, this is also an exception.
Max, are you saying that Bobbie and Jennifer are full of crap?
No, he's saying we're exceptional.
Oh,
Jim, if I may.
hang on. We got another
Chris,
viewpoint.
you gotta just jump in.
Another male jumped in.
I'm going to say this, and this is coming from someone from 12 years automotive retail, 8 of those running a BDC and being a BDC rep themselves, and coming from stores that didn't have BDCs. BDCs are the direct result of GMs and GSMs lack of leadership, training, and motivation. They shouldn't even exist. Dealers should be able to get their salespeople to do it. And if they need more salespeople because they're too busy, they should hire more salespeople. I really don't think BDCs should exist. I really don't. I think that the country club atmosphere that we allow to exist in this industry, when I walk in, I just bought a car 4 days ago. And I walked in and there was at least 6 salespeople just kind of sitting there reading the news or looking at YouTube. And if they were properly motivated, trained, and had leadership from the top down, they wouldn't exist. And I mean, I hate to say that because they're a necessary evil now because we don't require enough out of our sales managers, our GSMs, and our GMs to do that. But I come from stores where that has happened. And we didn't have that huge expense. We didn't even have a BDC room. We had hybrid internet salespeople. Those people knew how to work the lead from cradle to grave. The ones that didn't weren't on that gravy train. And if they wanted on it, they were trained and they executed when they got the leads. And that's how
it's only an expense if you don't build it the right way.
Absolutely. But I mean, it doesn't need to be built if you can have your sales floor.
Yeah, but you just said it. It's a necessary evil. There is no way. And we have stores that don't have BDCs, right? It depends on the store. I do not believe as an industry that we're all of the sudden going to be able to have these rock star managers because we don't invest in training in them either. Right? We are not training them to lead teams. And you're right, Max. We are an exception to the rule, but we're here trying to help inspire and educate other dealers to get better. So if you want to know how to have a profitable and more productive BDC department, I'm not going to sit here and talk about, I will talk about some failures, but I'm not going to talk about average. I'm going to talk about different ways that you can structure and build a department so it's a profit center and not a call center.
Okay,
So
Melissa, jump in there a second.
Yeah.
Come on now. I see you just chomping at the bit. Come on now.
No, I'm all ears. I'm on the marketing side of things, so I'm hearing a few things that I haven't heard before. So I will say though that hearing what you said about the successful BDCs, some reps making over six figures. The successful stores that I work with, I'm talking the high volume, number 4 in the nation, those stores, their reps are making well into six figures. I thought that was normal because I work with these high volume successful stores. So that's the first I'm hearing that they're not all. I mean, obviously, I guess just the stores that aren't as successful, they're not paying them as well. But the stores that I work with, the really high volume, the really successful ones, their BDCs their reps are making good money.
Yeah, that's a culture of success. So I think that's
Right.
a great point, Melissa, is that the store in general is successful. And it's not always the pay plan. Sometimes it can be a great pay plan, but with no one to lead or inspect or motivate. And I think that's why I always take a different style to training. I train on every single desk in the dealership is its own business. It's our job as leaders of the company to be able to give them the tools that they need to make their business successful. When each desk, whether it's a cradle to grave internet salesperson or a business development agent setting appointments, when they are successful in their business, we grow as a dealership. But instead we focus on the wrong things, and without that leadership and that success culture and the motivation and the growth culture, you're going to have agents. And there are agents that only make, like Max is saying, to start off typically in the first month, I mean, I'll have agents make about $2,500, $3,000 while they're going through their training. But if you're really looking to grow, and you don't have to sell 700 cars a month to have a successful store, but that goes all the way back to looking at your goals and how you're looking to grow. Business development is supposed to mean on top of, not just status quo.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that works really well in some stores, and this isn't for everybody, but one of the things that we have specific clients that do is, I really like it when a BDC is set up properly, right? Let's pretend for a minute that we're already there, that we have a good solid BDC. Why it is that you would start a salesperson on a sales floor instead of in a BDC for a set amount of time to learn how to communicate blows my mind. Why are you hiring salespeople, these young salespeople, these old salespeople, whatever, tossing them out on sales floor and being like, learn how to do an OEM walk around? Guess who gives 0 F's about your OEM walk around? The customer. They've seen it. They don't care. They don't care. But they do care if you can properly engage with them, answer their questions, be fast, be furious, be awesome, and make them feel comfortable so they want to come in. Stop starting salespeople on a sales floor where nobody knows how to train them to communicate, and start them in your BDC with a set training path and a set process. None of this winging it crap. I hate that. And then transition to the sales floor, and you will have the strongest sales team you have ever seen. But it doesn't happen overnight. We're such a culture of like, oh, I want to go on a diet today. Why didn't I lose 100 pounds yesterday? Because you've been eating cupcakes for a year and not working out. It's been 2 days. Slow down. Give it a true plan of success. The goal is a year. Break it into quarters. In those quarters, break it into months. When you approach a failure, stop. Solve the failure, then move forward instead of just letting it go. And if you don't know how to do it, it's okay. When have you ever had to do it before? Hire somebody to do it the right way. Stop hiring people for a BDC where you go, I talked to this call center at the insurance company and this person was great. I met a waitress at a restaurant. Start going to places like perfume counters and makeup counters, places where
Bobbie, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And this is an honest question for all you guys, if you guys can help me out on this.
Yeah.
The number one thing that I am asked for as far as new employees for a dealership, it's not sales managers, it's not people or salespeople. It's where do we find a good BDC person? Yep. And to be honest with you, all the ones I've ever worked with were so well trained at this point that they're out making the 6 figures or running BDCs. Where do you guys suggest that dealers find good BDC people? And I've heard the restaurant thing, and that's great if you run into those experiences. But
let me jump in there. Let me jump in there a second.
Okay.
I have said this for years, and I've been very successful in talking some of my dealers into it. The best BDC people are retired airlines reservations people.
A good one.
They have to
I'm
deal with
telling you
that.
right now, and they're usually middle-aged women. They're mature people. They're not super young either. I mean, they're mature people. They're trained in working long hours. They are trained in people skills and communication skills and problem solving. I have had a
Are they
lot
going
of.
to come out of retirement for 50, 60 grand of
Oh,
work at BDC?
they're definitely doing that. Yes, they
Oh, yeah.
are.
All right.
Absolutely.
So-
What
Where do we
do you
find them,
think,
Jen?
Jennifer?
We've had great success with teachers. In Michigan a few years back, they had some massive layoffs of teaching staff, and we were able to scoop up some amazing folks. They have patience, great communication skills, and ultimately it is, and I was actually trying to respond to Mike Phillips here. He made a comment on Facebook, is you don't find them, you make them. You find people that have the right qualities,
Right.
and then you inspire them to excellence through training and structure. And it definitely is something where I think a lot of times people are like, oh, this is so-and-so's friend and let's do this. But I've gotten great agents from telemarketing places, from Taco Bell drive-thrus, because I hang out there all the time, right?
Taco Bell drive-thrus, come on.
Oh yeah, I've stolen at least 5 employees over the years out of a Taco Bell drive-thru.
Really?
Absolutely. They had great customer service. They were very helpful. Obviously, it's not a very fun place to work, because let's be realistic here. A BDC department is not typically the funnest place in the dealership, right? They're stuck somewhere. They're doing the same thing day in, day out. You've got to find people who are fine with monotony. And this is where I disagree with Chris a little bit. Yes, I definitely think in a utopia, the salespeople would do these things, but some of the tasks we're asking them to do are things salespeople are not capable of doing. That same thing day in and day out. And the reason the sales managers don't hold them accountable, by the way, Chris, is because they did the same crap when they were salespeople.
Wait a second.
So
I've always said you can't beat salespersons hard enough to stay in a phone room. I mean, you can't whip them. I mean, I couldn't keep salespeople in a phone room. And BDC has always been the phone room. Now it's the technology room. It's the business communications center. I mean, there's leads coming in from all directions, all types of communication. Now digital retailing is coming off the website. What the heck? Somebody jump in.
Can I jump in here for a second? I want to answer Chris's question, but then I want to come off of what you just said. My favorite place to hire BDC people from is places like Macy's, the kiosk in the mall, people who face rejection all day long and continue to go after it. You ever walk past one of those kiosks in the mall when they're trying to sell you a flat iron? I know you've seen this. There's no fear. They're already paid on commission. They already face rejection all day long, especially at like a Macy's makeup counter. They try to target men all day long and be rejected for things that they don't want to buy. They're already trained to work long hours and holidays, and they're already trained on how to work on commission. They're a great avenue for it, but Mike is right. You build those people more than you do anything. But truly, to hire a really good person, you have to assess your own floor first and then decide what skill set you are. When people recruit, it's so silly to me because they go, here's the position and the skill set I want. Okay, but how does it match? We're looking for somebody who faces rejection all day, is okay with repetitive behavior, but can multitask, is not easily distracted, does well in a high pressure environment, can communicate through phone, text, and verbal. Oh, and also has the wherewithal to tell a manager in another department, like, you're crazy.
But where do you find the ones that are experienced? Everything that you guys have told me so far is where to find good people.
I got you. I'm going to give you a gorilla.
Well, I thought that's what you asked.
No, I mean, it's fair enough. But I'm looking. My dealers aren't the utopian where they have a great trainer.
I got you.
Have someone to lead like that. They're looking for, people that have the experience. That can basically
so they want a manager,
not an I got you. You're going to like this.
Okay, well, let me ask you.
Let me tell them this first.
Oh, go, Bobbie.
Yes, let me tell them this first. This is important. If you want a good experienced BDC person, you start mystery shopping the dealerships around you to find the right one, and then you geo-target their dealership with ads to recruit that person, especially when you find out, just like service, when their payday and then when their meeting day is, and at the end of the month when they're their most frustrated, you start sending "Why work for me" messages subliminally through their TikTok and their Facebook and their everything. That's
that was kind of a good answer.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask another question here. How come most BDCs that I have experienced, I've been in 1,000 dealerships physically, How come it's all a bunch of women? Is it a girls' club? I mean, is it? Where's the male presence in the BDCs?
Anybody want to take that for I do?
Men don't like saying no to women, Jim.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Come on. There's got to be a better answer than that.
I think there is a better answer.
I'd say here's a rarity.
Listen, here's a simple answer, right? If you're not willing to pay, you're gonna get what you're gonna get, right? And
women work cheap.
Oh yeah, I'm getting ready.
Sound like a chauvinistic pig.
Then you got that one?
Yeah.
But it's hard to make a living.
Is that where you're headed
for your family? If you're a guy, making $30,000-$40,000 as a BDC agent. But I want to go back to Chris's point. I think Chris made an excellent point that I agree with.
You need to get out of that conversation.
Yeah, I'm not going to let him leave that one.
No, I'm not. Wholeheartedly, I agree with Chris that salespeople should be doing the job of the BDC agents because they have nothing but time. If you walk into any dealership right now, like Chris said, 6 of these guys are smoking, another 6 are reading news, right? Another 6 are, having a conversation about what they did last night. Instead, they should be in BDC, answering the phones, doing the basic follow-up. Because in my mind, right, if you're a salesperson, right, you should be able to sell in person. You should be able to sell on the phone. You should be able to communicate via email, right? You should be a multifaceted employee. That's what makes you successful. It's like saying, I'm an F&I manager, but I will only sell vehicle service contracts. If you want to buy a tire and wheel coverage, you got to call this girl right there. You have to be able to
them girls
drum at the same time.
So first of all, Max, the fact that
you better strap your boots on, baby.
Here it comes. And in this corner.
Max, will be the last time you agree with me on anything.
Ding, ding, ding. Max is new to it. He doesn't know better.
We're talking about the first impression that your dealership has with over 70% of their consumers. So if you think that position is not valuable, and I cannot believe you insinuated that women are less valuable in this industry, in this workplace, that makes me want to vomit.
Insinuate it. I said it.
Listen, Max, that is part of the problem. You want to know why you don't have more men in BDCs is because of that old school mentality where you think it's just a job for the girls. Oh, it's the girls in the BDC. I have men, women. I love the grandmas. They're great in the BDCs. But for the fact that this mindset is what is holding us back. It is the same reason, that same methodology and mentality that prevents you from actually putting a business plan into place, and it's total bullshit. And if you want to continue that, I'm sorry, Jim, I cursed. I couldn't help it. That is ridiculous. 70% of your consumers are getting their first impression from this department. And if you don't take that seriously, maybe you ought to just take a look at your succession plan.
Okay. Ding, ding, ding. Max, don't push that again. Here's the thing. Women are more often hired.
I take abuse well.
Women are inherently hired onto BDCs, mostly because the men who are leading in dealerships don't know how to lead them, and they think that way. But let me give you a perk to this. Women are inherently better communicators by nature. I don't think women are better than men or men are better than women, but we have different skill sets. And I would put any one of the women that run these BDCs and are in them up against the men on the sales floor and put a challenge in for a healthy competition. It's not better or worse. They're different skill sets. In my opinion, a BDC can have men and women in it. And if run right, they can all make over 6 figures. What I would like to really see happen is that we start to look at people for their actual skill set and where they're best placed, right? Train, transfer, terminate when something isn't working out. Are they trained properly? Do they need to be transferred to another department, or are they an official termination? Men and women against this stuff is inherently interesting. And Max, I think that you come from a perspective of like, oh, you're in a family, you're thinking you lead that family, you're the breadwinner, whatever. But women kill it in our industry. But we have leaders full of men who haven't been taught how to lead women and who get frustrated with things instead. And most of the women in the BDC departments are making more money than the men on the sales floor. So we'll leave that right there because that happens all the time.
Yeah, those
right?
guys that are sitting around not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, who said married women should get married? Max is seeing off all the women in automotive today, guys. Max is usually a shock value pusher, so probably 50% of that he meant, and the other percent Jennifer's gonna whoop him when we're off camera. So.
Right.
Hey, I don't worry about it. I know that in every dealership that I've worked at, and so many wonderful women in this business, they drive the value and they earn every penny. And it is this mentality that we have to break through. It's part of why these departments aren't succeeding, is because these guys have their heads up there. And
what I love is for the audience. For the audience, notice that
this is really taking a turn, Jim.
Shut up! They're like not going to say a
This is
word.
where I want it to be.
No, listen, Jennifer, I agree with you. So this is how I see it, right? I think you have a GM and a GSM, right?
Safe word.
And these guys are super insecure about their jobs, right? So why would they put a superstar into a BDC department, right? So usually you end up with underpaid BDC employees, underpaid BDC managers, because God forbid you put a good one, they're going to expose how useless the desk is.
Well,
I don't think that's gender specific. Had you started the conversation that way, it would have been different.
You notice Max is so new to all of us that you notice that Chris and Patrick have stopped, and Jim is being his antagonistic self right now.
I'm wondering if you guys are both going to be at a conference anytime soon.
right.
Coming up.
Listen, what Max is saying is true. And I've been there. I have been, I started in accounting. I got plucked out of it and thrown into operations by accident. But I have been in that store that had no females on the sales floor. I would get 14 calls a day for a female sales rep or someone. And I actually straight up did the challenge to the GSM and said, okay, you don't think girls can sell cars? Let's me and you stand on the porch and let's see who spots more units today. Let's just see. But what Bobbie's point was, is they don't know how to manage women. And guys, this was 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I've heard it as recent as 3 years ago. Well, we don't know how to. They're so emotional. Bullshit. I know some robotic machine money making women in this business that aren't emotional at all. But I also know some men in our dealerships that are clucking like hens around the water cooler, not helping the customers. So I don't think it's gender specific. Again, it is about how you lead your team and how you set them up for success. And that starts at the very top in structuring these departments.
Yes. And for the men listening, if you would like to learn how to better lead the women on your team, Women in Automotive will be having a live conference in December. You're welcome to join us to learn how to better lead the teams and motivate the teams of women that you're wanting to recruit, retain, and hire, because they're better communicators in most senses. And that's not my opinion. That's like basic psychology. So,
Jim, when you go through resumes,
unlike Max, I have many times promoted women, elevated women, hired women. I mean, so don't lump me in the same bag with Max over here.
No.
Jim, if I may, how often in the dealership when you're looking at hiring do you see women come across as salespeople? And I'm not saying that they can't. I'm saying if you look at 20 resumes, 17, maybe 18 of them are going to be men. All right, for a salesperson. If you look at BDC resumes, I think it's not as drastic, but you have a lot more women applying for those positions.
Depends on how you write the ad, Chris.
I don't think it really comes back to anybody can do it one way or another better. I mean, I've seen both sides be extremely successful in it, and both sides failed miserably at it. I just think that you typically see more women going for the customer service representative, rapport building based positions than you do for salespeople, and it's probably primarily because it's always been a boys' club on the sales floor.
I
don't think that.
I think there's
hours,
it's very rewarding.
It's frequency. It's all of the things that are set up in a BDC to say it's not the same kind of hours as the dealership is typically. It's a little bit more flexible. They say, right, that's not 100% commission mostly because the pay plans are written wrong. is why that happens. But I'll tell you what, I know more women BDC managers than I do men. Mike Phillips is one of the best BDC managers I've ever seen. And he runs a great team of women. There are a lot of men out there that do. I don't want to sound sexist as I say this, but you tend to hire people who look like you. So if a woman is running a department and a man is running a department, the tendency is to hire people who look like you and to know how to lead and be comfortable with. And that has become a stigma, and it has become a process through our whole industry. Melissa, jump in.
No, I was just going to say that, for being a strong woman, I think this is one of the best industries because it's a good old boys club. It's very rewarding for strong women, to be able to find those women that really want to perform and to be able to stand out. I think it's a great industry for that.
I want to ask a question here a second, and I want to sort of change the subject. We have beat this all around, and poor old Max, he's a punching bag over there, well deserved.
He likes it.
Yeah, he likes it. Yeah,
I love it.
He earned that. He earned that one.
I'm trying to picture Max with handcuffs and a ball gag.
Masterchef, that's what I was going to say. You're on the
Right, I'm going to send you a picture.
Yeah, he deserves the punishment. Anyway. Okay, now what services does a BDC need to operate at peak efficiency? What vendors, what tools, not so much which specific vendors, but what type of vendors, what CRM functions do they need? What do they need? Somebody jump in on that.
So first and foremost, they need to know where the dealership is fishing. So regardless of what marketing partner, there are some stores that do a lot of branding. And so then you're going to be in these high funnel lead sources, right? Mm-hmm. Third-party listings, different things along that line. So they need to have a good understanding of that mix, and the processes should match. We're not going to chase a third-party opportunity with the same veracity that we would chase somebody who came from our website and converted. Those consumers are at different points in the funnel. So your team needs to be trained on the marketing mix.
Priorities. Are we talking priorities?
Sourcing. We're talking about the sourcing. You'd be amazed by how many dealerships will hire a marketing company, whether it was their marketing director or their sales manager signed up for something, and never tell the BDC. So the BDC will get, like, let's go simple. They get a trade lead in of some type. I hate the word lead, a trade opportunity in. But nobody ever showed them, hey, this is trade pending that's on your website. This is the journey the customer goes through. Oh, hey, look, it never said you were going to call them, which is why they're not answering your 418 calls and bullcrap emails that don't mean anything. This is the approach to use instead.
One is a number.
Or, hey, they're using LotLinx, for example. Hey, we signed up with LotLinx. This is what this program does. This is how it works. This is the journey. It's a 10-minute freaking meeting with your BDC. Here's how you respond and engage with those customers. And then you program the CRM to stand behind them and tell them what to do.
That's a good question. Let me go to Melissa on that. Melissa, what in dealership training does your company offer on your services? This is Melissa's from LotLinx.
Hi, guys. So yeah, we're driving bottom funnel buyers connecting to inventory. So literally, we're not a lead generation company. We are driving people picking up the phone and saying, hey, do you have that vehicle? So it's gonna need to be a lot of training on, making sure that vehicle is in inventory, locating that, all the training that comes with that bottom funnel buyer. So we're not driving the high and mid funnel stuff. It's that very low funnel. So they need to be inept in.
Well, let me ask you that question again. The question is more, what in dealership work are you guys doing to train people with your process?
We're not trainers. We're driving, bottom funnel buyers.
And LotLinx links through to our websites. So it's going to come across as a website opportunity.
Right.
I think at least for the stores that I have that we work with LotLinx, it's actually more so working with my managers, my new car manager and used car manager, on how to turn the inventory, how to move it to make sure we have some aggressive aging policies. And I know right now nobody is keeping anything on the lot, but again, we're not talking about a success through circumstance. We're talking about being, management driven in those things. So I know our LotLinx rep, she spends a lot of time with either the GM, if he's actively involved, the used car manager, or, well, not a new car manager right now, because ain't nobody got nothing, but to talk about what it is we're looking for. And then it's up to them to make sure, right, it's coming through to the website. It's going to be a VDP. It's a lead or an opportunity with a stock number attached to it.
Okay, a stock number. Okay, very good.
And we do things a different approach where we actually focus on the dealer's inventory needs first. So unlike a lot of our competitors, we're actually focusing on the inventory first, seeing which inventory is aging or what the market demand is or other factors on the actual inventory first. And then we're actually connecting that with a buyer in the market. So it lands directly on that dealer's website, like Jen said, like Jennifer said. And so that's going to be coming in directly off that dealer's website.
So how much of it now is coming in through the digital retailers, guys? Are the digital retailers on the dealer's website, the digital retailers, how much are we getting directly from them?
Less than 20% across my stores.
I was gonna say we're under 20% across the board at our stores also.
So the digital retailers aren't taking off yet. And we've talked about this, but are they a BDC priority, Bobbie?
Well, here's the thing. It's not the lead providers are not what is a priority to the BDC. That's a priority to marketing. To the BDC, it's can they convert the buyers that are coming in? Where are we pulling them from? Right. So I'll tell you this. Pro tip for everybody watching: anytime you have a new lead source or one that you aren't aware of right now, spend 10 minutes with your team, walk them through the journey, show them what it looks like, send in a fake lead to your CRM. And then look to see what happens. Mystery shop yourselves, for crying out loud, and see what is happening. The BDC needs a CRM that's proper. They need texting ability. They need video ability to be able to contact people immediately. They need training on how to communicate with a template or what to say. People aren't lazy when they work in commission, very rarely. The truth is they don't know what to say and when and what to do. It's the same problem on the sales floor. I hear all the time, Bobbie, why do I got to call them 18 times after they leave the showroom? We did everything we could. I don't want you to sell every time you connect. I want you to connect every time you connect. BDCs need the sales floor to work in tandem. Here's a huge problem. I call 100 times to a customer, 100 times. They finally answer. They ask me a question I can't answer that I'm supposed to then send to the sales team, but nobody answers. And what do I have to say to the customer? I'm going to have somebody call you back. You think the sales force is going to make 100 attempts back to get that customer back on the phone because you didn't empower the BDC to do their freaking job? No, they're not. They say things like, oh, the OEM, my sales guys are OEM trained. You find Mrs. Jones up on the phone asking you some dumbass OEM question. She's asking things like, why would I set an appointment to come in and waste my time the way I always do? Why are there not VIP processes in place when a customer arrives to make them feel special? You get that at Boost Mobile, people. Boost Mobile welcomes you into their showroom with a sign, and you guys are like, they can wait 25 minutes. It's insane. It's so BDC needs support, and they need consistency, and they need people who don't know what they're doing to get out of their way. That's what they need.
Yeah. And
that's the most frustrating part.
To bring it back to Jim's question about digital retailing, it's just another sourcing training. So and I call them field trips with my teams. We're restructuring one of the stores right now, and none of the sales reps have their leads turned on yet because they've not done their training. They've not done their field trips so that we can walk through what that customer is doing. I say you need to meet your customer where they're coming from. Right. So a digital retailing customer has already taken the opportunity that you've given them on your website to engage and work a deal, whether it's a trade or finance or playing with payments, whatever it might be. So when you're working with those types of opportunities, your team needs to be able to see, what did this customer do? Did they complete a full pencil and a trade? Did they only do one part and bounce? And when they engage that customer, they need to pick up where the customer left off. So that's part of training on sourcing. That is setting your team up for success.
And give them access, for crying out loud. Why are you paying for social media marketing, which is genius, for them to send in a lead form through social and then be answered through an email? Duh, that doesn't work. Would that work if you were the one who said, is that available? And then dealers say, well, Bobbie, we don't want to give them access to our social. Are you kidding? Why are you hiring people that you can't give access to the tools they need to complete their job at a high performing level unless you're just trying to be average? It's stupid.
Well, let me
I know, right? That's kind of where I'm at too.
I'm afraid to jump in here. I mean, these women are piranhas today.
This is what we do, though. But you know what's great about this is this.
Look, I know better.
Is what people see. They see it and they go, "This is what happens in a dealership." And you know why they hire people like us? Because we will fight just like this to get it set up the right way, or we won't bring you on. So, like I tell people, if you're watching, you're like, "Man, I'd love to hire her." This is what it looks like when you're wrong. Or when there's an opportunity for you to improve your brain stand and do things right.
It starts with a comprehensive leadership plan, right? We need to look, like I said, first at the goals. When I build processes for my stores, I don't do it in a silo. Every single sales manager is involved in that meeting. We'll talk about, here's the outline of what we see based off of different sources. It's not just an internet up process, just a phone up process, just a showroom up process. Based off of what drove that customer either to convert, to call, to chat, or to walk into that dealership, that is what we have to identify. And when we look at those, maybe we need to make some changes to the marketing mix, or maybe we just need to train and set the team up appropriately. But when you get your entire management team involved in that conversation, they buy in. When they feel like they're involved in that process for their team, whether it's appointment setting, cradle to grave, or a hybrid structure, when people make decisions in a silo and say to do it because I said so, that's where failure happens. We have to set the team up for success and get them invested and motivated in running their business. And that's at every level. We sometimes forget we're still selling as leaders and executives in these dealerships. We have to get everyone bought in or everything falls apart.
And before Jim says it, because I can see his face, this is where buy-in becomes a big thing with two separate departments. If you just tell the BDC, hey, get people in for an appointment and tell them that this is what to expect, but the sales team doesn't know it, guess what happens when that customer comes in and it's not what they expected? They don't make an appointment next time. Right now, your screw-ups are training the next set of buyers, and the next time they buy, not to do what we want them to do because you're not following through, and most of the time it's unintentional. And it's really, really frustrating right out of the gate. There's a lot of free stuff you can do to train yourself, to train your teams. You can hire people, you can do whatever, but for crying out loud, do something. And start with access and the tools that they need to be able to do it.
Jump in there, Chris.
No, I couldn't agree more, and I'm kind of scared to reply. No, but honestly, if you would have come to me first, I'd tell you that you just need to make sure that the dealership has the tools to communicate on the medium of what the client wants to communicate on. I still run into dealers every single day that has Gubagoo and some random other companies answering their chats while they have BDC people sitting. I think that the BDC people need to be trained to deal with clients on the medium that they want to deal with you on. That means they're not all going to pick up the phone. All right. You need to be in there on chat. You need to be there in text. You need to be there in email. But as far as what they need, I mean, a good CRM, good training, access to the platforms that they're using. I couldn't agree with it anymore. I
remember when Traver and Stuker started the phone rooms back in the 70s and 80s.
I feel like I trained on that phone card.
I did too.
Oh, I remember the phone card and the box. It was hilarious. And it was a business development center then, but now it's more of a business communications center, and the communications are coming in from all different directions. How much BDC do you have in the independent highline store, Patrick?
None. We do not have BDC at all. Nope. Our salespeople handle it. Depending on the store, we have first communication is done by the sales managers at the sales desk because, again, they're better communicators than our salespeople are at some of the locations. Some locations, the salespeople are on fire. They're on top of it. They know how to make phone calls. They know how to communicate. But we found it best if we as the managers, when I was a sales manager also, if we made the first impression with the customer, because again, generally we've been taught and or know how to communicate already, be it through phone, text, email, whatever the case may be. So
what's the average price of your units, Patrick?
Exactly.
Share that with the audience.
Hold on. Say that again.
The average price of your units. Share that with the audience.
Yeah. So, especially at our high-end store, the average cost of my units is $65,000.
Right. He's not in a Chevy store, guys.
I don't have program cars or anything like that. If you run it around to our smaller locations outside of our flagship, our average cost is about $35,000. So, we're dealing in BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, Maserati, high-end cars that are generally also going to be under warranty and things like that. So ours is a little bit different, but that's not to say that I wouldn't be interested and or inclined to start a BDC. It's just, I don't know. We're thinking about it in our flagship store.
But I don't want to leave these viewers with that as a message, because it's different for Patrick. He's running it's a higher average cost per unit, but also Patrick has been trained in exactly how to communicate and do this. And the process that he follows has been custom made for that reason. So don't watch it and be like, well, if he can do it, everybody can do it. Because there was a time when he didn't know either. There was a time where I didn't know.
And I was going to say, and just so everybody's 100%, like when Bobbie says, I've been trained in this, and the processes that I use were cut. I was trained, most of my BDC skills, communication, emailing, and all of that came from these two women that you have on this screen right now. And that's Jennifer Briggs down there up here at the top. Years ago, I reached out to Jennifer and asked them, please, I need somebody to teach me how to actually do this other side of the business that I don't understand. I've always been a great sales manager. I was a great salesperson, but I did not understand CRM or BDC until I actually reached out to Jennifer and Bobbie, and they showed me.
And I didn't say that for a plug on it. I said it because I don't want anybody watching to think it's that easy, because it's not.
Yeah, we're down to time, guys.
Oh, man,
we're there. Okay, this is the Alpha Dawg, Jim Ziegler. It's been a spirited discussion,
to say the least.
Yeah, so
my ears were as red as my hair, Max.
Max, you don't mess with that women.
Max's chauvinism. He really fired up Mona Chipman on the sidebar there. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, you did.
Sidebars right now.
I think we had a great discussion. Melissa Marjanovic, how can they get in touch with you at LotLinx? What do they need to do?
You can just email melissa@lotlynx.com.
Melissa at LotLinx. I don't have to spell Marjanovic or anything, right?
Yeah, I actually had N Marjanovic, and I said, no. Do you have any other Melissas? Because I need it easy.
Melissa at LotLinx.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris at Overtake Digital. How do they get in touch with you?
Chris at overtakedigital.com. We do full digital marketing, full service, all the way from SEO to pay-per-click, social media, and beyond. You can get me at Chris at overtakedigital.com, and we'll do a full digital assessment for you all the way through, and show you what we find out.
And that's the reason Max doesn't go to any car conferences. Anybody ever see the old 1930s?
I'm going to take Max to one.
Did anybody ever see the old 1930s movie Frankenstein, where the villagers with torches are chasing the monster up the hill?
I'm taking him to Women in Automotive as my guest.
As the speaker, I hope.
I'm taking you as my guest. I'll get you an application today, my friend.
No, Max, you're clearly going to be the bridge between the women and men in automotive.
Hey, we got time. We're
sorry.
20 minutes over.
Bye.
Hey, listen, this was great. Everybody say goodbye.